different people get inspiration different ways. I'd listen to a lot of stuff and then I'll hear a line and I've realized like, oh, I got to write that down like immediately.
Yes.
And it won't be the song. It'll just be like, oh, that was a great thought. Like, you know how you listen to podcasts and they'll be like, oh, a one-liner, and you're like, wow, that's a really great way to say that, or that's a really cool thought.
Yes.
So what I do is I just like have a little thing in my phone called song ideas, and when I hear that, I write those down, and then when I'm ready to write a song, I just go through those song ideas and I start playing my guitar or whatever, and I'll just like think of a song based around that, or 2 or 3 ideas.
Oh,
yeah.
So would you, let's say you, so I was listening to Rick Rubin's new book called The Creative Act, and it's really good because it gives us, he gives really good language or ways of thinking about the creative process. So for example, what you just described there, the initial sort of jotting down of the titles or the word, or just the sort of the lines that you heard that filled you with some sort of energy that you felt, I'm going to take this now and store it like a little seed. So you're just collecting all these little seeds, and then you go back and you're like, oh, let's see what seeds we could plant and then harvest, let's say. But I think it's all about energy. Like when you hear that thing in the podcast, there's an energy that you, as your entity in the world, is getting pulled towards. And then if you're always just listening for what is giving you energy, then it's not really hard. You just have to go into that more. And then when you go back to harvest your seeds, do you like how do you just, would you look at all of them and would one stick out more than others?
Sometimes it might be all on a theme. So I've got several. Like I'll open my phone, and I normally, because I use an iPhone, right, and it's just that those notes are all jumbled up, right? And I even find if I spend the time to categorize the idea at the time, I've lost the idea. So I just have to quickly write it down. But every time I write it down, I always write this line, song idea. So then I just search my phone for song ideas, and I go from the top usually to the bottom, and I start with the top one, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And then often there'll be 2 or 3 song ideas in my phone that are on a similar thing.
Oh, yes.
It's sometimes because you're listening to podcasts. Well, I find I am, and you know how YouTube just suggests you once, and next thing you know, you've gone on down a rabbit hole of something. So you might have been listening to the same ideas anyway, but what you pick up from the idea might not have been what they were saying.
Yes.
And that's how I've written almost, I wouldn't say all, but almost all of my songs have come from that.
Wow. Like that way. Okay.
It's just a way that's always worked for me.
You're just like in the stuff that you're consuming, stuff is just going to flow in, and some of it is going to be like, oh, that's a good song idea potentially. And I think for me, I think everything's balanced. You know what I mean? I think I've just noticed that it's been a lot more on the consumption side, and I haven't even been doing what you're doing as much. Like looking when stuff resonates with me, I'm not really reaching for the phone or writing it down. I need to actually, that would be a better way for the content that I'm consuming to benefit the creative work in a way. Because right now I'm kind of just listening. It feels like just because it's just I'm just consuming for the sake of consuming, for the potential of creating something from what I'm consuming. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And some people, like, they're able to absorb it all in a way, and then something just comes out. But I find, like, because for me, what sparks the idea is often the way someone said just one little thing, like a one-liner, and you're like, oh wow, that just the way they put that is different. And I kind of like, just when I jot that down, then it seems like that, like you said, I never thought of it like that seed, but it is like, okay, here's a little seed that something massive will grow from that. And sometimes you might need more, and sometimes I will write down where that came from if I had the time to do that. Because if you know when you start writing a song and you're like halfway through it and you're like, oh, I need an extra thing for a verse or a bridge part.
Yes.
And then if I go back and listen to that source, it might trigger something else, but maybe it doesn't. It's just maybe that was
Good vibes, good